Hello everyone. The bench is such a mess and I'm procrastinating hardcore to clean it. So we're out here in the living room on the coffee table. I got the avalanche to a very good point where I can show it off. And I want to start this off by saying that when I first mentioned this in, I think it was the live stream, that this was going to be very difficult to give away. And now seeing it in a half roller condition, it's getting even worse. I still have a few things to do at this point. First of most is getting the body mounted. Using the Wendigo chassis with its forward motor mount isn't a big issue. I don't know if you can tell from the parts underneath the truck, but I cannibalized the long wheelbase setup. I did that because I figure it's just element rails and gladiator links. If I want to build another one in the future, I can. Not going to be that hard. In the rear, super long links that are high clearance that I got from trying to order gladiator links from Mr. Hardcore RC. I think that's Lance. Hi Lance, I love your stuff. Because of the way Red Cat made the links for this quote-unquote 8th scale truck, the pockets for the pivot balls are kind of big, so I've had to put spacers. I don't know how well you can see that, but I've had to put spacers in some of the pivot ball pockets. I have been considering whether or not I want to put a sway bar on this. In the front, I'm just using stock geometry with a panhard bar. In a panic, I ordered a 4-link mount from Gary, which is probably in the mailbox right now. It's another rainy day out here in San Diego, so I got the motivation to start putting stuff together, and I just started making things work with what they worked with. Yeah, this is the point we're at now. It's kind of sort of a roller-ish because I have the front drive shaft in, but the rear is so long I've had to take the Amazon drive shafts I bought for the long wheelbase and actually cut them up and splice them together. If you don't mind, I'm going to see if my measurements turned out right. Yay! What I did there was I super glued the barrel to the metal shafts. I've been told, according to the internet, that super glue will hold metal. So we're going to test that theory on more than one thing. You guys are special and get a 2-in-1 in this video. You guys remember the Amazon 2-point low? Let me get this out of the way. No one cares about it anymore. You guys remember the 2-point low from Amazon? One that everybody was claiming was a piece of junk? Well, it kind of is. You guys are going to super cringe right now, but just for demonstration purposes, we're going to hold this gear and show that this shaft, if I can quit shaking, is press fit in this gear. So rather than take it out of its home, we're going to dab a little bit of super glue on this on both sides. Try to wipe up the excess so the bearings still seat where they need to seat. Let that dry, and at the end of the video we'll put it together and see what happens. I have a lot of thinking to do on this, because if I don't end up giving this truck away, its stand-in is also a really important truck to me. So I gotta do some soul searching and thinking. But in the meantime, we gave it some time and I remembered how this went back together. So yeah, I got the Amazon 2-low transmission back together, and we're going to see how well the super glue holds on these shafts. Another thing I remembered as I was assembling it, when I received this nut right here is not a nylock nut, so it can spin freely. So just a tip, when you receive these, either put some Loctite on here, or if you have a spare nylock nut for a wheel nut, put that on there to hold the spur gear in place. Otherwise it will probably spin freely, because that's how I received mine, was at the end of the shaft. Yeah, this is no long-term update. I've only ran this thing like twice, so I have no clue about the longevity of this thing, other than the shaft just failing on me and the nylock nut. It doesn't seem too bad. If you spent $120 and got the real deal versus this, then yes, you would have a much better experience than what I'm having right now. But I like tinkering with things, so this really doesn't bother me having to super glue or JB weld a shaft. And come to think of it, I don't know how close of a clone this is. Team Garage Hack sells replacement gears and shafts. If you were so inclined, you could replace the gears and shafts with the real deal. Honestly, wouldn't suggest it, because at the end of the day, the price would basically be the same as buying a new real deal one. But to each their own. I don't mind super gluing stuff. Now, I gotta clean all this up. Got it. That was an ordeal. I will say, creating wheel wells from scratch inside a hard body is a lot more difficult than you think. I went through at least 3 revisions before I got it right. This last revision works, but it's not pretty. Gets the body held on, but I don't know how rough I can drive this thing. I'd like to make a whole hell of a lot better mounts for it, but that's for future me to figure out. I'm just proud I got it all together and pretty much ready to run. The only thing I have to do is do a little bit of body modification. I gotta do a lot in the front. I've also put mock-up electronics in here to at least get it on a trail run. The thing I'm really proud of is my battery tray placement. I just stuck a Element battery tray onto the bumper mount and screwed it in like that. I don't know if you can see it under the hood, but it tucks away the battery pretty well. If I can get If I can get a 3D printed engine onto that little brace that Red Cat has in between the shock towers to kind of hide the ESC, but also be scale enough to have like a motor in there, but also let me slip the battery in front of it, I may scale it out and do that. But this is all tentative. This is before I've even driven it to see how it runs. So excited, I'm getting ahead of myself on this. Over working on this for the past couple days and pouring my heart and resources into getting this thing functional, it's staying. This is mine. So what am I giving away, you may ask? This is the VS Pour 10. Poor 10. It has a Traxxas TRX4 Blazer body on it. This is an axial plastic roof rack. Underneath is oh, would you look at that? I broke the plastic Vanquish bumper a while back. I forgot about that. Underneath is a Vanquish VS410 chassis, a VFD twin in the middle, axial 10-3 straight axles you would find on like a Bronco, and I think the CJ7 has these. Metal links, TRX4 shocks, Vanquish, Wheels of Fortune, Proline Toyo tires. These are really good, by the way. There's I'm not going to bother taking the body off, but there is a Mamba Micro with a 2850 slate in it, if I'm not mistaken, and a Savox 1230. Hey, look at that. Yes, it's beat up, bruised. Before I forget as well, it has a light kit, a Wheelwell Rocklight light kit from a local guy, Sal. Shout out to Sal, we miss you, buddy. Once I give it a small nut and bolt, put the bumper back on it. I've never cleaned this thing. I've never cleaned any of my rigs, honestly. But once I clean it, give it a nut and bolt, make sure everything functions properly, figure out what radio I'm going to give away with it. This is the giveaway truck. The way to win it, come up with a nickname for the Avalanche. I don't know how many of you out there have played Cards Against Humanity, but there's a saying that's been told to me, and I never forget it because of that card game, and it is play to your audience. Play to your audience. What do you think the nickname of that Avalanche could be? I will leave that up for a week. We shall see who the winner is. With all that said, I'm going to leave it here. You guys get to the comments section. Tell me what the nickname of the Avalanche is, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, also, let me know if you want to see a running video of the Avalanche.